Hey everybody, that's a patron. Thanks so much for being a patron. Get to hang out with Josh Horton a little bit. Josh agreed to come on and talk a little bit about what he's doing. Also, before I forget, he's on Patreon now too, so make sure you check out his Patreon.
Yeah.
Juggling Josh. And Josh, I was wondering, or we talked a little bit before, you said you could talk a little bit about how to build your social media following. So we've got a lot of people publishing juggling videos, and they want people to see them. What can they do?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of things. I mean, I could talk for an hour on this, and I have been hired to talk on an hour for this back when I had a real job. But the big thing is to make every little thing that you post a work of art. And I'm not one of the people that's like, oh well, I am an artist. But the idea that your Instagram account, when someone goes to your Instagram account, or they go to your Facebook page, or they go to your Twitter, every little thing that you do is your best work, and it is something that you are proud to post somewhere. And people will come to me and they'll say, Josh, like I'm trying to grow my social media following and no one likes my Instagram. I just got a tag from a big page and no one followed me or whatever. It's like, well, you had a juggling video here, but then you posted your lunch from Wendy's here. It's like learning that there's a time to, if you want to be a normal person on social media, that's fine. Like, I do not criticize people who post their lunch to Instagram. Like, that's fine. Selfies when you're, out with your friends, that's great. But if you care about growing a social media following and this is something you want to do, then you need to get more serious about your content. The common phrase, if you go to any social media conference or whatever in the world, you hear this at least 1,000 times, and that's content is king. And whatever you post needs to be good. And so that's my biggest thing is like, if you really care about it, if you don't care about views and you don't care about them, then just post whatever you want. But if this is something that is annoying you and you want to grow your social media following, and that will bring you joy, then you just really need to focus on creating high quality content. So for a juggling video, that means high quality video, not uploading it in 240p, having a HD camera, which is basically any camera in the world now. Maybe adding music. That's not a requirement, but I think it adds to it. Every one of my videos has some music behind it. And then there's ways to, each platform is very different, which is another thing. There's different ways to get more views on YouTube than there are for getting more views on Facebook or Instagram. Everything is different, so it's kind of hard to speak to all of them at the same time. But thumbnails are pretty big across the board. Having something that's something that you want to click on that sparks curiosity or whatever is important. Even on Instagram, that I'm learning. It wasn't something that I focused on for a while, but now I'm more worried about it on Instagram because showing up on the explore section is so important now.
Wait, how does that work on Instagram as far as thumbnails go? You just mean having a nice, or like if you're posting a video, can you put a thumbnail on it?
Yeah, you can't choose a thumbnail, but you can select any frame of the entire video.
Okay.
When you post a video on Instagram, yeah.
Got it. All right, so a couple of things came to mind when you were talking. You were talking about just like caring about your content, making sure it's good.
Yeah.
And I thought of this. This is funny. We were talking about Taylor Swift during the live interview. I follow her on Instagram, and all the pictures she posts when she's on tour are like clearly like taken by professional photographer.
Yeah.
Like, they're beautiful photos. So like I think that's a great example of what that looks like. And then you're also talking about the videos that you make. If we're talking about juggling videos, not that anyone's aspiring to be in a highlight reel. I don't think that anybody is. But like when I'm searching for videos every week, if it's anything less than 720, it's probably not going to be in the video unless it is.
Oh yeah.
Unless it, there's been a couple times like when just crazy stuff. Also, if there's not music in it, I find that it really detracts from the video overall, just because it's kind of like
yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how people even have a camera that doesn't shoot in HD anymore, and that may be first world problems or whatever.
Right.
But it's like every phone is now in 1080p or whatever, and even 4K, and the price of an HD camera is so cheap now. I think Willie is the only guy I know that doesn't film his juggling videos in HD. We won't get started on that. But then like the other thing is like some people have trouble getting it from their camera to their phone to the Instagram, and just figure that out because it's not that hard. And then people use like weird apps. Like I see people, I forgot what it's called, but like everyone has this little like watermark in the side of their video.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. That's
Fixie.
really big in Africa. A lot of African jugglers are posting with that. I don't remember what it's called though.
I just see it all over the place. Like I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's another thing. It's like, if you really want to care about this stuff, then find a way to make it look nicer because that stuff like that is super distracting.
Totally. So content is king. Put out good content. Make sure your thumbnails are good. What do you think for jugglers? What do you think are the platforms, the social media platforms they should spend the most time on?
I mean, Facebook has a great community, and so the difference there is a lot of the good community is just from the personal pages. But you can you can share if you want to grow a following, and you want to have a social media following on Facebook. You can start a page and you can like share your videos in Juggling Rock. YouTube is of course great. YouTube was the first, kind of the first place where you could share videos with people around the internet. So it's still a good place to do it. But then Instagram is my favorite. If I had to choose one where I need to build a following quickly and join a community easily, Instagram I think is the best place to do it.
How do you build a following on Instagram?
You put out good content. You put good content. You connect with the right people. You hashtags. The jury's kind of out on. I think there's a few. If you can find the right hashtags, they can be very effective. Because there are some hashtags that kind of create a community. Like there's a Jugglers of Instagram hashtag. So then jugglers on Instagram who are using that hashtag are connected with each other. And then there's there's the same hashtags for all other things. There's puppies of Instagram. There's whatever of Instagram. There's a lot of those like. There's some strange ones that are just like sunset_madness is like this like crazy, it seems so random, but that hashtag has been used like 200,000 times for all these photographers who take sunset pictures. And so there's ways to use hashtags that will get you more followers, more views, whatever, because people are going to be searching through those. So just doing your research, putting out good content on a regular basis, having a good thumbnail, and just, growing a following is a hard thing to do no matter what platform you're on. But I think Instagram is a good place to start.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for that. Do you have anything else to add as far as just basic growing social media following tips?
Don't be cheesy or beg. Don't beg for stuff. If I had $1 for every time someone's asked me for a shout out, I would have probably, not exaggerating, like $10,000 or something. Like I've been asked an insane amount of time. Like if you go to my Instagram messages right now, like you messages of people you've accepted or follow, you get automatically. But if you go to this messages request section, I've got, there's thousands of them, and half of them are asking for shout outs, if not more. And I've never asked for a shout out. There are some big pages that I've sent my videos to, but I think that's a little different. These people are wanting me to say, hey, go follow Trickshot Dude 42. And, I'm not trying to sound pretentious or like I deserve, but it's like, there's just something genuine about the followers that you'll get who discover you on their own versus the followers that you get through collaboration or they find you yourself or whatever. So don't beg for stuff, and don't post things like retweet this video for good luck or whatever. All that stuff is just kind of cheesy and whatever. Just do it in the best way possible, and you'll gather more true fans. Because if you do stuff, follow for follow and that sort of thing, again, is like it's not going to get you genuine fans.
Right. Yeah, I think that's great. It takes time, and you got to put in the work. And if you're putting out quality content, then you're going to get featured by Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
And those things are gonna happen. But
Right. The good stuff always rises to the top one way or another. There's some ways you can speed that process up, but um, yeah,
cool.
it's. I mean, it's. There's no. If I knew the exact answer to that question, I would have a lot more followers. But so there's definitely things you can do. But
yeah. Okay. Well, if we might just spend a couple more minutes, I was wondering if you could tell us. You talked about in our live interview that your coach was Vova. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about his teaching style and how that's kind of influenced not just the way you juggle, but the way you approach life.
Wow. So I worked with Vova for a couple years on and off. This was back, some older jugglers will remember the young kids. I feel so old saying that, but like the young kids won't remember the time. But like, do you remember when Vova got kicked out of the country, and then Oprah brought him back?
No.
Vova, like his green card or whatever expired,
That's right.
And he was trying to get permanent residency, and he was back in Russia. I think there's a video called like juggling in Russia. Like, I mean, there was a while where like there was a chance he was never coming back to the United States, and it was him and Olga getting on Oprah, which is what, because Oprah can do whatever she wants, and Oprah brought anyway. I was in that time, so Vova got kicked out, and then while he was gone, I was working with Olga, and Olga was giving me lessons. So I worked with the two of them, and they were both had pretty different styles. But as we talked about in the live interview, it started out me being very nervous and Vova being very reserved. When if anyone knows him, Vova's very silly and vivacious and outgoing. But I just don't know if he wasn't comfortable with me and vice versa. And so it was very much a formal, I am the teacher, you are the student thing for a long time. And I'm glad it was like that, because I think that's what made me become a very good juggler very quickly. It was in this time I went from, 3 balls to 7 balls in less than a year. And, I got very, very good for the amount of time I'd been training with him. And I think a lot of that was because I was so scared, and I was surprised that he said yes to, I couldn't even juggle 5 balls when I asked him for lessons, and him saying yes to that was definitely a life-changing thing for me. If he hadn't said yes, I don't know if I'd be talking to you right now, which is it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And to take it a step further or back, I learned about Vova through the World Juggling Federation video that some lady sent me because she saw me at the talent show. So if, actually a step back, she didn't send me the WGF video. She sent me the Chris Bliss video. From that, I found the Chris Bliss diss. From that, I found Jason Garfield and the World Juggling Federation. From that, I found that Vova Galchenko lived 15 minutes away. So there was a chain of reactions. Depending on how deep I want to get in the story, I tell people different things. But she sent me the Chris Bliss Beatles video, and I watched that, and I watched the Bliss diss video, and I said I like that a lot more. So that's where I really got into the technical side of juggling. I'm getting very far on a tangent. That's not answering your question. But as we shifted and got more comfortable with each other, like I told you in the live interview, it really changed from being a formal relationship to 2 guys hanging out and practicing and help. He was helping me get better at his juggling, and it would also turn into his practice and my practice at the same time. So it was more of little tips here and there, because there gets to a point in juggling, and most jugglers know that, where it's like you can only coach for so long, and then it's like, well, go, when you're working on 5 club stuff or 7 ball stuff, it's like you can't actively it's like, okay, now go practice that for 4 weeks, and then maybe you'll see some progress. So that was the other thing. As it shifted, there was less stuff that we could be actively working on in person for a long time, and so it got a little bit more hands off and a little bit more relaxed, and it was great. It was some of the best times.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the way that he trained you talked about he's a good coach, you learned fast. Would you say that the way he trained you at all changed the way that you approach the rest of life?
Yeah, I mean, I think I tell people this, that when I moved to LA, it kind of opened my eyes to that whole like stereotypical LA dream and LA idea of I can do whatever I want, and I can be I can be a star, I can be an actress if I, whatever you want to do. Because so many people move to LA to become famous, and that's not why I moved to LA. I was in high school, so my mom got a job there. But being around that lifestyle and all those people trying to pursue their dreams, after living in small town Illinois, where everyone goes and works for the same company that their dad worked for, and so I think even though I was young, that was probably one of the first times where I was like, I actively made a decision to be aggressive and ask the second best juggler in the world for lessons, and he said yes. And so then from that, that was just kind of my first validation of like, if you take a risk and you get out of your comfort zone, something good can come from it. And that's definitely how I've lived my life since then. The word aggressive can have like negative connotation to it, but I'm a very aggressive person when it comes to a lot of things, and not in a mean or inappropriate. I don't do it ever. But I'm not scared to ask for things if I think it is the good move.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is not ask.
Yeah.
Or most of the time, all the time, really. Except unless it's cheap asks, like, will you share this?
Right.
All right. Well, cool. I think that's great. I really appreciate everything you've shared with us, and I think you've answered all the questions I've got for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So thanks for spending some extra time with us, and I hope that you garner 1 or 2 new followers because you spent time with me.
Yeah, I mean, you are the reason why I checked out Patreon. So I'd heard of it, but I hadn't really thought of it. I kind of thought it was better for like the millions of follower type people, but then I realized it's more for like the small startups and that sort of thing. So I appreciate everyone that's watching this video who are patrons and support people like you and people like me. So yeah, check mine out. I'm doing additionally like some juggling lessons, which I think is unique. So if you guys want to help me transition from being a performer to a content creator, contribute to my Patreon is going to help me do that. But in exchange, you can get discounts on juggling stuff as well as online juggling lessons. So would love for you patrons to support another juggler. Are we the only 2 jugglers on Patreon?
No, Lucas Abduke is also on Patreon.
Okay.
And then you've also got the busker guy.
Okay.
Name I'm
got
forgetting.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But almost.
Yeah. No, not too many of us.
Go support them too.
Yeah.
Or
Sweet.
just support us more.
Right. Well, it's funny. It's like I was like the last time I asked for money was when I was street performing, and now I'm asking for money again after my career has been going a little bit better than street performing. But hey, it all comes full circle.
Yep, that's funny. All right, well, thanks, patrons, and have a great day.